The world is rollicking with poker. There are some phrases there's no need to translate. I raise you all in. I've flopped a flush, and my pocket rockets are the nuts. The universal language of poker. Last week it was a man and his dog who walked through to the semifinals. Tonight, another six are chasing the kitty on the table, looking to edge closer to a $125,000 top prize. Hi, I'm Jesse May, and I'm joined by a man who loves a game of poker, former world snooker champion Steve Davis. Steve, poker really brings out a wide range of emotions in people, doesn't it?
Yes, it does, and it's how you control those emotions that makes a good poker player. There's nothing better than when you look down and see you've got the nuts, the best possible hand at that given time. The first thing you do is don't panic. Don't show you've got a great hand. The second thing is to try and think how you can get the chips from the other guy. And this is when you can slow play a hand. That means either deliberately not betting to try and induce your opponent to bet, or possibly not betting too strongly to let your opponent have some interest should the turn and the river cards come up. So you would slow play, you would underplay your hand.
So if you flop four of a kind, you shouldn't just go all in right away and tell everyone what you have.
No, you've got to try somehow to get the other people interested as well, because obviously their cards may not be as good as yours or anywhere near as good. Take this example here. Here's your two cards. You've got pocket kings. The flops come down king, 8, 2, rainbow, no suits are the same, so there's no possible flush out there. The cards are separated, so there's no possible straight or a run out there. So it would be very difficult to conceive of the person having that much interest in this hand. So if you bet big there, you may chase your opponent off.
I mean, really, it's such a strong hand with that kind of flop that there's almost no card you could conceive of coming on the turn that would even threaten three kings.
No, obviously. Let's take a look at what this guy's got. This is obviously stage managed, but he's got a two pair, 8s and 2s, not a bad hand. Now, should the turn card come an 8, all of a sudden he's got a full house, 8s and 2s, you've got kings and 8s, you've won. But if you bet too big with the 8 and the 2 from the start, if you bet too big, the 8 and the 2 may throw their cards away. So slow playing there would be a good idea.
You're letting someone catch up and then you hammer them. What about a situation where it could be a little more dangerous?
Okay, well in this situation you've got ace-5 suited and the flops come down 2 aces and a 6. Looks fantastic, doesn't it?
Looks pretty good.
Okay, you may slow play there, you may slow play after the flop. But then if the turn card comes the queen of clubs, there's now 2 clubs on board. Now it may be a little bit more dangerous to slow play if your opponent's 2 pocket cards were 2 clubs. So that would depend upon how much money was in the pot as to how much money you bet. If you bet a small amount to try and keep your opponent interested, he may have the correct pot odds to try and draw for another club, as there's another 9 clubs in the pack.
Right, so it's a double-edged sword. You want to get money in the pot, but you don't want to get so much money in the pot that if your opponent draws out on you, he's going to stick it to you right back.
That's right. You've got to get the chips, but you've got to learn there's a little bit of danger involved as well.
Well, one guy who knows a lot about slow playing, in fact, he can slow everything down but the speed of his chatter, is former world champion Phil Hellman.
So you want to slow play a hand? That's fine. Just make sure you don't bust yourself after the flop comes down. I like to slow play aces and kings sometimes, especially if I've been doing a little bit of calling. If I've called once or twice and someone's raising behind me, then that's terrific. I'm going to just call with my aces. And I think that slow playing is a very effective way to build big pots. But when you slow play, you want to bet big on the flop to find out whether your overpair is good or not. If you run into a lot of resistance, then be prepared to get away from the hand. You slow play a hand to get action. You don't slow play a hand to go broke.
Well, Phil talking there about something even more dangerous, slow playing big pocket pairs before the flop.
Yes, I mean, sometimes you feel like you have to. Say you were in the small blind and you were first to bet with a pair of aces. There's only the big blind left and you want to win money, but you don't just want to win his big blind. You've got this massive hand. You slow play it by just calling. Your opponent has a 7 and a 2. He gets a free flop. He doesn't have to raise, he checks. The flop comes down, 7, 2, 8.
Trouble.
He's got 2 pair and you're Pair of aces are busted, but how could you possibly know at that stage? That's the danger of slow playing a big hand, but sometimes the top players, they need to create action, so they do it occasionally.
Yes, there's an old adage about that. They say, if you limp with aces, don't go broke with the aces. But we've got a big game coming up tonight, so let's see who's playing. Well, this partypoker.net European Open is getting ready to smoke. Join myself and Steve Davis after the break when this tinderbox blows up. Beginning this game with 100,000 each in tournament chips. The yellow chips are worth 1,000, the blue chips worth 2,000, and those red chips are the big ones worth 5,000 apiece. Total of 600,000 in chips on this table, and with the blinds starting at 1 and 2,000, there's plenty of play early on.
It's very warm in here.
Blinds starting at 1 and 2,000. Just a feeling out stage, I guess.
1,000 and 2,000, please.
Obviously, just because a player is an internet qualifier, and the fact that he may be a bit uncomfortable in front of the cameras or uncomfortable in tournament play may come into the situation, but you can learn so much from the internet these days. They can still be very talented players. And Entwistle with the same 4-5 decides not to chance his luck twice and just flat calls.
Pass.
On the big button.
No raise.
Nauenberg.
Jens is limped in. We've got, I think, 3 players here. Tom Barkas folded from the small blind. And, ooh, a little something for everybody.
Check.
2 pair for Murray Bailie.
6,000. 6,000.
Entwistle thinks his 4's good.
Well, we talked about slow playing earlier, Steve. This could be an example. Murray Bailie checking.
Call.
And now just calling with the top 2 pair. He almost hopes Entwistle's going to hit his 5.
And this is an ideal situation to slow play. There's very little chance of, well, there's a possibility now, obviously, of somebody having a straight.
Check.
It must be a little bit of a worry for Bailie, but
8,000.
feel a bet, just seeing where he stands here. Is he going to flat call again?
The bet is 8,000 from Entwistle, who's drawing live to a 6 for a straight,
Raise.
4 for a set, and a big stack of blue for Murray. It is the check
16,000
raise.
24 total.
25.
Oh no!
On top.
Oh
Okay, you have to
my!
match this
Yes,
back.
A re-raise.
In total?
You can't do
No,
22,
you can't.
isn't it?
No. The actual total bet in
Well, this is a stone cold bluff by Mark Entwistle. What's he thinking about?
Okay, Marty.
He's representing a
That's
10 and a jack or a
What's the story?
5 and a 6, but
Basically-
His bet was...
His bet was 16,000 more.
also he's
24
mistakenly
total.
bet out a strange amount as well, which...
So you're going to allow that, yeah? Because he actually just went 25, but there was and left the 8 in, and then he wanted. I explained what the situation was, so he can actually go to 48.
Yeah, 48, yeah.
You can make it.
Well, there was
48,000 total.
They were just making sure it was clear. Mark Entwistle hadn't put enough in for that re-raise, but he announced
24
re-raise,
to call.
so they're allowing it. And
Call.
Murray Bailie is calling. I mean,
Just calling. That's a fantastic call. He obviously must be worried to some degree. But he's obviously now committed to calling him all the way down. I think this is going to be a bit of a crippling hand for Mark Entwistle, unless the 6 comes, obviously.
yeah, the question is, will Entwistle
Check.
follow through with this bluff?
Well, he's more or less obligated to, is he?
Check and declare.
No, he's not going any further. Wow. I thought he was committed there to going all the way.
It seemed like it. Entwistle has just done half his stack or more. Look at this. Murray Bailie out in front. And Entwistle sinking.
Cameron won't be able to see my face if I do now.
Entwistle down to 34,000. It's not been the happiest of starts for him.
Boy, only 4 hands, and I guess there could have been an excuse for him to fold every one so far.
Raise.
Barky Barkas getting back-to-back decent hands.
10,000 total.
The ace-king is not as good as the pair of jacks, really, but it's a very strong hand.
Pass.
Very rarely would anything else be out there as good. But there's another race.
Pass.
Some quality laydowns here, but look what Dave Clayton
Call.
has picked up.
Pass.
And he's just limped in. I mean, just called, excuse me, with the queens.
Well, he obviously realises that possibilities of Barkas having an ace, or possibly even an ace-king, and thinking, if there's not an ace comes on the flop, I'm going to bet, or I'm in a strong position. Well, that's what he didn't want to see.
That's right.
No, he doesn't know where he is. Barkas would be very pleased with that flop. An ace with
10,000.
nothing much matching.
If Dave Clayton can get away from this hand right now, it will be masterful, Steve, won't it? I mean,
Because,
talk about, yeah.
If he'd have re-raised, would it have? I don't think perhaps it would have been an
Pass.
all-in, but it could have cost him a lot more.
Well, Barkas wins the pot. Clayton loses the minimum, and
Sometimes it works, doesn't it? Slow play. Or just calling with a pair of queens. I mean, the clever players do seem to be able to get out cheaply sometimes.
yeah, Clayton took a 50-50 shot, and
I'd have had to have re-raised there. I just would have had to have re-raised. And then the other guy goes all in, I go all in, I stand up and see the ace come and say that was unlucky. But Clayton's still sitting at the table.
cards out now, and look at that.
Call.
Murray Bailie has called under the gun before he even saw his cards, Steve.
Well, perhaps he should have
Pass.
raised ace
Pass.
queen, but now he's officially called.
Call.
Everybody can get in quite cheaply now.
Call. No raise.
Very deceiving play, but he's got Entwistle in on the button now with the 6-7, and
Jens Lehmann in as well, and Barky Barkas on the big blind chose not to re-raise or raise.
yeah, he's got a pocket pair, 2 5s, and
Well, he's hit trip 5s.
Check.
Jens checks.
Check.
He checks the trip 5s.
and it's a straight draw
10,000.
as well for Mark Entwistle, and Barkas has checked here. Now he chooses to slow play.
Call.
The bet was from Murray Bailie, call by Entwistle. Are we going to see a raise here from Barkas?
Well, he may
Pass.
well have to try and
raise. Make it 30.
Raise.
That's a
to
sensible
30,000
size.
total.
a pot-sized
20 to
bet
call.
to stop anybody really drawing for the correct odds. Murray Bailie looks down at his ace queen. It'd be very difficult to see how they can be of any help now.
Question is, what will Entwistle do? He's being asked a question now for all his chips here.
Pass.
He's got 33,000 left.
All in.
And
All
it
in.
goes all in. Well, he needs luck.
29,000. 1,000 change. And cards, please.
3s and 8s are the live cards for Mark Entwistle. If he doesn't hit one of them, he will be out the door. And he's an airline pilot in his day job. Talk about flying out. Entwistle's got turn and river to try and catch up here. Oh, look at that. He's hit the straight.
Well, either king, an 8, or a 4 can, or another 5 can help. There's another 10 cards out there that could possibly help him. And there it is.
The
Full
Lord,
house.
yeah. The Lord giveth, the Lord taketh away, and Entwistle is out in sixth, beat by a full house. That hand, when the money went in, it was a set versus a draw, straight on the turn for Entwhistle, but the redraw, full house for Barky Barkas, takes out the airline pilot. Line still 1 in 2,000. Nauenberg under the gun.
Pass.
Now and then, folding up.
Murray Bailie
Pass.
on the button, a stealing position as it's called. Would he be tempted to raise?
Thinking he
Call.
doesn't fold many from that spot.
Raise.
Well, sensing weakness from the button. King Queen, he must feels
7,000 more,
in
9
front.
total.
There's an interesting hand in the big blind. There's a raise from the small blind after a call from the button. Where am I? What am I doing now? I've thrown
Pass.
away. Don't want to get involved. Don't want to get busy with that hand.
Well, Clayton made some quality laydowns already tonight. The 2 queens, now the king jack. He was in trouble both times.
He doesn't throw much. Is this a re-raise? Oh no, go for it. I think Murray Bailie doesn't like to hang around. He's got a business. He's just
Call.
called. Okay. He was looking to re-raise
He
it.
certainly was. Bailie in position.
Fondling those red chips. How's he done? Well, he has got a couple of drawing possibilities. A 7 or a jack would actually help Murray Bailie.
I think
That's
it's
8 cards,
I think it's what they call a
16,000.
double belly buster.
but that's a healthy size bet from Papageorgiou. 16,000 into a pot of 20,000. He's about 5 to 1 to hit a 7 or a jack. So really he's not getting the right odds to call, so I'll raise. And that is a very strong bet.
It is strong. I mean, I guess Murray must be thinking, if
32,000
Papageorgiou's
more.
got ace king, if he's got jacks or 9s, and he
48
can push him
total.
off the hand, but will Papageorgiou fold top pair?
Well, it's a massive fold, really. What's he thinking? Is he raising on a draw with 2 hearts on the table? I think he must think the possibility that he is raising with a drawing hand. But it's a lot of money. It's a lot of chips.
32 more.
Very early in the tournament. Nobody likes to go out quickly. Nobody likes to go out
Re-raise.
to a set of trips. He's re-raised all in. That's a fantastic move.
Good, strong play.
Fantastic. Well, knowing the cards we see in front of us, certainly the
For
thing
another
to do.
38,000.
Well, Papageorgiou's a man with no fear, isn't he, Steve? He folded the first 9 hands all in a row, and on hand number 10, he's willing to stick them all in with just top pair.
I've got these 2 queens.
Can Murray fold?
Well,
Call.
Call.
well, he's
Okay, gentlemen, cards,
do or
please.
die.
Pair versus the draw. It is Papageorgiou all in, but with the best hand. 31% of the time, Murray Bailey's going to get out of it. 7s and jacks are the key cards.
Needs to be the 7.
And look at the size of this pot. 192,000.
Jack's no good.
Why not?
Why not?
Oh yeah, of course, yeah. I thought
You
it
must
did.
have
That was
called
dead.
thinking the jack will go to early.
5 on the turn. And that has seriously changed these odds. Only 8 cards in the deck now for Murray Bailey and 1 chance to catch him. Here's the river. 6 no help, Steve. Big double up for Papageorgiou and Murray Bailey. Early wound.
Well, rash is probably the call of the day so far in this heat. It was rash early on from Mark Entwhistle, and the amount of chips that Murray Bailey acquired pretty early on have now gone to this man, who must be feeling very happy with himself after an excellent judgment of a re-raise there.
Well, in this,
Do you think he put him on a draw there?
I don't know. I think he closed his eyes and pushed. So we're still 5, but Murray Bailey cut in half. And look at those nice stacks in front of Tom Barkas, who
Pass.
seems to be having trouble seeing the cards. Maybe it's the glasses.
Pass.
Yeah, it's a funny game. The person who's bet the least amount in this heat so
Pass.
far is the chip leader on 192,000, Andy Papageorgiou. Dave
5,000
Clayton's
more.
been playing a pretty tight game, but decides
Five
to
more.
raise with the 10-7. Nauenberg
Call.
just calls with Queen 2. Not much of a hand, defending his big blind.
Boy, he is a staunch defender. You wouldn't want to try and kick him out of the front seat. And they've both missed rather completely, although I guess Clayton has an up and down straight.
Clayton representing Ace King, representing something at least.
10,000.
And it would be very difficult, as I open my mouth and realise it's not going to work, to call this unless you're going to raise. Or is it a Moody for a bit of television exposure and sling him in the muck? I think I've got the second one right.
That can only be a call to
Call.
bluff later. This
Oh,
man,
this-
he takes every bet like a personal insult.
Well, as you say, Jesse, he's calling to show that he's slow playing a big hand. Well, hit second pair. Clayton
Check.
now worried. Now the big bet. Is it going to be a big bet? You called to make a big bet. You look down at his chips. How big a bet though? 10's not enough. 15?
Fact is,
15,000.
Clayton picked up that 10 on the turn, Steve. It's almost like now he's got a big enough hand just to call.
Yeah.
And
What
now-
is he worried about? 2 pair? 15,000 though may just keep him involved. He's got a few outs, even
obvious.
if he thinks he's behind.
Yeah. Straight draw, 2-pair draw. And obviously the big question is, what if they both miss and Clayton checks?
Oh, the Queen. Oh, what a nightmare. Now they must be worried about somebody having a jack.
Tell you what, when Jens Nauenberg turns this hand over, Steve, Dave Clayton is going to hit the roof.
What about if you put a massive bet in? Could he get him to lay the Queen and 2 down? That's enormous.
What a bluff.
30,000.
This has been a superb hand. He can't go there. He's got to throw him away.
Oh
Pass.
my!
What a hand. What a hand.
Dave Clayton checked while he was ahead. As soon as he got behind, he stuck in the whopper, and Nauenberg was just lost in a maze there.
Well, I'm not too sure I knew what was going on. I certainly know that neither of these two lads did either, but it was a superb. That's a great... Bluff yourself is just as good as anything else. What a superb hand of poker. Just shows you what you can do with the power of chips.
Looking at the leaderboard, it's been all action so far, but the Rapids have run rampant here.
One of the lessons to be learned from that is you don't have to get busy to be in front.
1 man down, 5 remain standing, a fixed stare, a lot of fun. But the one stacking the chips is the sage gone sour. Who will it be? Lot of play left in this mixed game.
Pass. Call.
Limp in from Tom Barkas just at the moment
Pass.
when the signal goes up that this will be the last hand at this level.
Raise.
Interesting that limping in with ace-10 in a 5-handed game is in its own sort of respect a
7,000
little
more.
bit slow
9
playing, isn't it?
total.
Just so you could be forgiven for raising with ace-10.
Pass.
Perhaps not on a table of 10 players, but with
7 to
5
call.
players.
Well, it looks like
Call.
what's happened here is Papa Giorgio thinks his ace is best, and Barkas may not know where he's at because of the calling, Steve.
No, he's been raised. He's got ace-10. The mandatory ace to make it a fascinating hand has come on the flop, and now which one fancies the job?
I mean, you're going to say, what if an ace comes? Is it possible that Barkas could just fold this? That's a
12,000.
big bet. Chip.
Well, Barkas must be scared enough of ace-jack, ace-queen,
Call.
so he's just calling. Is he slow playing? Does he know he's in front? How can you know you're in front with ace-10 to a raise?
These are the two chip leaders squaring off.
If Barkas is prepared to go all the way, Papageorgiou's got to be so careful and with a bit of experience to know where he
16,000.
stands after this river card, not to put too much more money in. What are you called? The 2 doesn't change anything. You really got to continue to call. Otherwise, why did you put your money in after the flop? This would be weak to fold now, I feel. If you called the flop, you've got to call this card, surely.
You would think. Barkas, of course, scared of the ace-king, the ace-queen, the ace-jack, the ace-ace. He'll have a little jaw on it.
Unless he's preparing to raise, and this has all been a bit of an act.
I think he's passing. He's sucking on lemons here.
He's sucking and coughing and sniffing and...
Pass.
Well, he's thrown it away. Well,
That was the last hand at this level.
you've got to be brave at this
They've
game,
lined
and
to
I'm not too sure that was
4,000.
exactly
Well,
right.
thanks the dealer.
Perhaps he just waited to see if the other guy showed some strength on the turn, but I mean, these days players follow through all the time with another bet, so
Okay, just to let you know.
why did you put the money in on the flop? That's my question.
I know there was.
Let's check out the ranking of hands. Each 5-card poker hand falls into the official ranking of poker hands. Bottom of the ladder is high card only. A pair just above that, and 2 pair is higher still. 3 of a kind is 3 of a number, a straight. 5 cards in a row of any suit. A flush is 5 cards of the same suit in any order. Full house, 3 of a kind plus a pair. 4 of a kind is self-explanatory, and a straight flush is 5 cards all in a row of the same suit. Royal flush is top of the pops. That's a straight flush, ace high. Murray Bailie just drumming his fingers and waiting to get his chips in. Look at those.
No, they feel like alcohol.
Nice.
Call.
He's called before he's looked at his cards, and he doesn't see them even yet. He hasn't looked at the 4-2 of spades he's got. There can't be the greatest player in the world, but he's been raised. There's a turn up.
10 more. 14 total. Pass.
And there's a big hand.
Call.
But he's just calling again. He's been quite conservative with an ace-10 and now an ace-jack. It looks like he's slow playing,
Pass.
doesn't it?
It does, and he's
What
got
did he
Dave
do?
Clayton strangled here. Murray Bailie can't tell if he called or not with that deuce 4 of spades.
But no,
He's
he didn't.
folded.
What a shame. He may have won it. So now Barkas in a fantastic position. Obviously he doesn't want to see a king on the flop, although he wouldn't know that.
Head up for this
2
pot.
clubs. That makes it a monster. As long as he doesn't bottle it.
Check.
Tom sat up in his chair. He's rubbing his hands together. He's done everything but send a telegram. But Clayton betting anyway.
He bets big.
15,000.
Well, no.
Pass.
Well,
Little Bo Peep. He scared some sheep there, did Dave Clayton. Tom Barkas with the nut flush, the best hand.
2 over
everything.
cards.
Two
Running
full
scared,
heads.
you got to say it. Scared of an ace-10, scared of an ace-jack. I know things can go wrong, but sometimes you can read more into the fear factor than you should.
What do you think's going through Barkas's head? I mean, obviously there's nothing here for a second. Is he determined, Steve, to wait till the blinds get bigger to pick his spots?
Well, he's still got 123,000. He's above his starting stack. But some of the cards he's had superior cards to everybody else around the table. Of course, it is easy when you're watching the cards at home. You know, you see things. It's so easy to play the game from this situation. I know now why you do play this game from this position, Jesse.
Raise.
But sometimes you see things and you think, surely that can't be the right thing to do. Surely you must. If you'd have
12
raised there
more.
with ace jack. Anyway,
16 total.
that was before.
Well,
This is now.
Pass. Pass.
there's been a raise from
Pass.
Papageorgiou, who's He really has had everything his way so far, Steve. When he raises, he gets no action unless he wants it.
Pass.
And that's another pot for the Greek.
Well, he should have had more complications than he's had so far, that's for certain. He should have been posed a big question a couple of hands ago.
Right now,
Two,
Papageorgiou
four,
out in
eight,
front, and well, he's looking like the winner. And until somebody strikes back, it's funny, we had all those early aggressors, but at this stage, Papageorgiou has got that naked aggression and the respect of the table.
Yep, he's got probably looking around the table, the way he thinks, the way he sees it, judgment-wise at the moment, the strongest players to his left. Certainly would appear that to us, and I would imagine every player around the table will be furiously trying
Pass.
to work out the style and character of the players.
Pass.
Lines of 2,000 and 4,000, which means 2,000 on Murray Bailie.
Murray Bailey's found a
Call.
nice hand,
Option.
and he doesn't raise, he just calls.
16 more.
Will he go all in?
Any total.
Is this Murray Bailey's moment? He's eyeing them up.
Does seem like that.
Ceasefire on my company, you know.
There we go.
All in.
For better or for worse, says Murray
All in for
Bailie, I am
39,000.
married to these two cards, and this
We'll
pot
put 20 in.
will be, it'll be nearly 100,000, I guess.
Yeah, I think
20,
Murray
20,
Bailey had
and
about
you've got to put in
40-odd thousand
19 more.
before. And Papageorgiou has the best of it, although Bailey does have two live cards, as they say. He's got 6 cards to hit to improve.
So it is the Belfast Bomber all in, 78,000 to get him back in this. Although if the ace-10 holds, will be four-handed, and Papageorgiou a serial chip leader. Big hand for every player in the game. And no help for the King-Jack as of yet. Murray Bailie says, Cowboys to the rescue.
Must have known he was behind when he got a raise, but he just felt obligated to put the rest of the chips in, and now he's desperate for a jack or a king.
6 cards to win. That's not one of them. We are down 1. And Papageorgiou, a huge chip leader now. Murray Bailie, the long walk to because. Murray Bailey's last hand, a battle of the blinds. That went nuclear. King-Jack versus ace-10, nothing on the board. And pair of threes with the ace, eking out the king high, and leaving us four-handed.
The way Jens Nauenberg's played, it does look to some degree as if he's trying to trap somebody, doesn't it?
It does.
Mug somebody. It's not an easy thing to do at this level. Slow playing can sometimes be spotted by an experienced player.
Over the glass.
If you just call a bet, it can set the alarm bells off in another person's brain. And here comes Andy Papageorgiou raising with Queen 3.
Not much of a hand, but
14
good
more.
position. And looks like a total of 18,000. Is it 14,000? Excuse
18
me,
total.
10,000 more. And
Pass.
hello.
And there's another all in.
All in.
Oh, he doesn't slow play that.
No. I do believe that'll wrap this one up.
Papageorgiou may have a little think just to show that he's not got rubbish when he raised. There's this Queen 3 he's got is nearly a good hand. Trying to sort of pretend it's like ace-10 and he's going to make a big lay down.
All in for 54 more.
I think that's called dwelling for credibility. Look at Nauenberg. He is frozen.
Pass.
Got a good little re-raise from Jens, and he's basically back up to where he started now. 2x4 here, and Papageorgiou first to speak.
Papageorgiou with an ace. Should be worth a raise. It's about 4 times the big blind, is it?
14 total.
Something around that mark. Not quite 14, 4 times the big blind.
Pass.
3.5, 4 plus 10. And
Pass.
that will take the hand. It seems that if you're going to pick a big blind to raise, Barky Barkas is a good guy to do it on. He's been a little tight like Milky Toast, really.
Yes, he has. As you would probably expect from an experienced campaigner who's still alive to tell the tale from Pennsylvania. You've got to learn fear somewhere down the line at this game because you get enough slaps in the face. Perhaps that's the big difference in the game recently, as I suppose the younger players coming in from the internet have perhaps made the game genuinely more aggressive, and perhaps the older player is going to be left somewhat in the starting blocks, and that's probably an ageism thing to say, but you have to be careful of that, don't you, as you get older, I'm sure.
Yeah, the youngsters have a lot of gamble and no fear at all. Not sure
Pass.
where Dave Clayton considers himself.
Well, the Queen 9.
Pass.
Queen 7,
Raise.
9-7, sorry, got it out in the end, suited.
8,000.
Could have perhaps been tempted into speculation.
10 total.
A genuine hand for Tom Barkas of 2 big cards with short-handed play. But Papageorgiou's found
8 more to me. Yeah.
something. Jack 9 suited. Interesting. Sling it or do something with it, Jesse?
Well, Barkas has turned the screws. I
Call.
mean, Papageorgiou probably feels like he's got 2 live cards and will feel a bit unlucky if a jack comes, won't he?
Yes, if he knew what Barkas had had, he wouldn't have called, I'm sure. It's not the fact they're suited so much. Well, now it is, though.
Well, it's just about a perfect flop for the Greek.
8s or spades.
Jack.
Sorry, check.
Barkas slows up. I bet would probably take it here. Barkas has been pretty timid against any type of strength.
Yeah, it's Andy's pot for the asking.
Right, and that is strength.
25.
And that should be enough.
Interesting that even though the king high is ahead from the pot percentages, that big draw of Papageorgiou's was leading, and he wasn't shy to stick the money in and take the pot.
And earlier in this heat, Barkas had a very similar hand with 4 clubs, 2 in his hand and 2 on board, and 2 overcards, and refused to put any money in facing a bet, when probably he was in exactly the same situation.
Yeah, I mean, even though a draw is not considered a made hand, oftentimes betting on the come can be the best thing you can do with it. Yes, and it's Clayton now in the big blind. Nauenberg to act.
That must have been a nice sight.
I think so.
Is he just calling?
He is
Call.
very
Well, he's
cagey.
sneaky, isn't he? What a sneaky play. He's the type of person that gets down early in the morning, puts his towel over the sunbed, then sneaks back to the room and says he's been asleep all the time. Sneaky, sneaky.
Raise.
And look at this.
Oh dear. Well, he's fallen into the trap, hasn't he? I mean, it's worked. Now the re-raise,
Raise to
and
14,000.
he's nicked the money. The all-in? Bit big for an all-in. Or does he? He's looking.
I mean, this is exactly what Jens dreams about deep and dark into the night.
I suppose you've got to be careful that he's not all in against a pair of queens and a pair of jacks, and he doesn't want to get that far involved. Or does he?
14.
14.
Or is he going to call now? Is he a really sneaky player?
If Jens shows weakness here, he may be willing to give up
Call.
this hand if he doesn't hit his pair on the flop. This is...
Well, Papageorgiou, even though he's got 5-6, he's got plenty of chips. Would he be tempted? No.
Pass.
Okay, just thought he might be tempted for to try and mug them both.
So Clayton, instead of looking for the queen or 7, he's almost just looking for anything but an ace or king. And this pot's 40,000 already. It'll be interesting to see what happens if they both miss, which is what's happened.
Clayton's not giving off the vibes in the same way, betting-wise. He's got his sort of hand on his face, sort of resigned more. It's not in the confident bet the same way, but whether or not that's just us knowing more about it.
All in.
Well, he certainly spotted the weakness, or decided to take a chance on the weakness, and that's a bet that can't be called.
That was a strong move from Nauenberg. We thought maybe he was showing weakness, but he was really slow playing, wasn't he?
Just to let people know
48,000 more to you.
at home, Jesse, for this particular program, it was chosen by the producers to demonstrate the art of slow playing, not knowing what was going to unfold here today. But it's been a miracle of slow playing action, hasn't it?
It really has.
It would have, what
Pass.
an inspired choice by the producer.
The only people that seem to bet early are the ones that don't have it. But Nauenberg there, with the raise it up on the flop ace high, taking the money, and all of a sudden he seems to become a force in this heat. Second in chips, and where will it all end? You have to imagine, though, 12th in the German Masters, you have to be a pretty tricky guy to beat a room full of Germans.
It must be a really sneaky game over there. Everybody's slow playing everybody else. Games taking months on end. Well, the last hand was the first time that Dave Clayton had got out of hand, out of line, so to speak. Paid the price.
He did.
I can't see the cards, I'm sorry.
Tom Barkas having a bit of a problem with
Raise.
the lighting and obviously the dark sunglasses, combination that has caused many a mistake, but he looked down at
That's all right.
a pair of queens.
He said raise and then he
And even
put
though
some
they're
chips
different
down
colours,
like this.
they must have looked roughly the same to him when he looked at them.
25,000 total.
Yeah.
Well, there was a chance of a string bet, but they've allowed the raise, and this could be,
Papageorgiou.
fireworks here, huh?
Oh, well, this is dangerous. Papageorgiou's got 259,000.
Front for me there,
Tom
please,
Barkas has
so
got
we'll see.
107.
Thank you.
There could be a big swing. Is it going to be a re-raise, an all-in and a call? That would be very difficult for Papageorgiou to get away with this, but jacks are not the fantastic hand that they look when you look down at them all the time.
40. He's got 40, 50.
Papageorgiou has asked for a countdown, and it looks like the decision is, do I get involved for all Barkas's chips or not?
Barkas has been pretty solid up to now, only really playing when he's had a decent hand, so he must be respectful of that. Papageorgiou must put him on 2 higher cards than a pair of jacks.
I call.
He's certainly right
Oh,
in that.
hang on 1 second. We've got everybody.
Oh, and there's a bit of a
Pass.
mishmash here. Tom Barkas has called out of turn after the raise.
Yeah, well, Papageorgiou, all he said was raise. He didn't say how much. Barkas has announced call out of
Raise
turn. That'll be
25 more,
binding.
50 total.
It's very sloppy here. I mean, Papageorgiou is left with a bunch of options
It's
now.
Maxi in it.
I think he may have ended up raising the minimum.
What was the story?
Right, let's
what
have a
happened,
listen.
he put in 25,000. He said raise up to 50,000. He said call. I asked him to wait because these 2 players were still wet.
only call.
Yeah, so it's 25 more to you only. 10 'cause you said
Verbal
call.
declarations out of turn are binding, Steve, and Barkas, who now may have wanted to re-raise, will not be allowed to do so.
But it was the minimum raise by Papageorgiou, who, respectful of the strength of Barkas's hands in the previous times, has only raised the minimum.
Well, interestingly now, if it comes an ace or king on the flop, maybe Papageorgiou can get away from the hand.
Well, he got away from another hand earlier on,
He did.
and it would be a good hand to get away from. Obviously, we can see the cards. Well,
I'm first olive.
All in.
that's going to be very difficult for Barkas for Papageorgiou to throw away. He's got to now ask himself the question, does he
55
have
all
aces,
in.
kings or queens? Otherwise, I'm in front. Would he go all in with ace, king, ace, queen after a raise? Would Barkas go all in with ace, king or ace, queen
You got 400.
after a raise?
Bet is 55,000, and Papageorgiou can play this hand all the way and still have over 100,000. That may be coming into his thinking. He doesn't like it.
It's a brilliant lay down if he can get away from it, but he can be forgiven for not getting away from it. And I think you're right. The fact that he has got chips to play with, there's no way out of it. Unfortunately, sometimes that happens. Two big hands collide.
There are 2 jacks left in this deck, but the odds say that Barkas is going to win this 216,000 pot. He is the man all in, the Pennsylvania pencil pusher. And that actually has given Papageorgiou more outs.
Not a 10. Not a 10. Well, he's still in exactly the same spot, but the 10. That would be quite cruel, wouldn't it?
4 tens out and 2 jacks.
4 10s in the deck, and here's the river. Full house for Tom Barkas, wins no money. Nauenberg on the march. He's moving across the western plains. But the Pennsylvania pyramid builder has got something to say still. And Clayton hasn't all gone bad. This will be the last hand of the level, 2 and 4,000 right now. And Nauenberg having an option to call,
Got that
raise, or
buzzing in
fold.
my ear again. Pass. Call.
Barkas can't seem to make up his mind whether the glasses should be up or down.
I think it's a sign, is it? When they're red, he takes the glasses off because he's not sure. When they're black, I don't know. It's a difficult thing with sunglasses. I've never really got on with them myself. Is it? Do they all look black or what? I don't know what's going on. Dave Clayton with an ace. Ace 3. Do you raise with ace 3? It's the type of hand you don't want to get too involved with. It's been a flat call, showing perhaps not strength.
Looks like Clayton's going for the free flop. There are 3 limpers here.
Papageorgiou called in the small blind with the 8-5. Missed everybody.
Best bluff wins.
Check. 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 All checked.
Well, there was a guarantee that Barkas was going to check, even though he was last to bet. He could have bet, and now the jack has really made things interesting. Obviously, it puts 3 clubs on the board.
It's hard to see.
Papageorgiou, from the worst position, decides to come out betting.
12,000.
Decent sized bet, but the jack must be interesting. Clayton.
Pass.
Wow. Fear factor.
You could see Barkas folding here, couldn't you? The way he's played so far.
Fear factor.
That's
Will he throw it away? No. He doesn't know what to do just for this moment. He's just having a think up. Oh, he's threw him. I thought he might. He's solid, isn't he? He's like a rock.
He is a rock. And a successful bluff for Papageorgiou, who was drawing dead, but made the bet win. And the blinds are now going to go to 3 and 6,000. It's an interesting matchup developing here, Steve. Tom Barkas seems to be the most technically sound at this game, but perhaps has the fewest number of moves. And it's really like, will the steady man win out? Or will one of the unpredictable players come through?
Well, obviously, when you're watching at home, you like to see the players who have a little bit of imagination, a bit of flair,
Pass.
doing well. But there's many ways to play this game.
Pass. Call.
Well, these two have developed a relationship. Clayton on Nauenberg. They've tried to bluff
Raise.
at every opportunity, and here comes Jens seizing the initiative.
20,000 more.
Smelling fear, or rather weakness.
Pass.
Not fear, of course. He's starting to look more and more confident, and also more and more like Fraser
He does.
from the American sitcom. I'm sure it's not meant as a derogatory term. He's got that air of superiority about him now that Fraser has on the programme.
He's 6 now, love.
Kelsey Grammer smugness. But the way that Jens is playing, I don't think he's won a hand with the best hand yet. He must feel like if he picks up some cards, he's going to be dangerous, and he may well be.
But he certainly mixed his game up. Flat calling some decent hands, raising some others. I suppose, even though we've seen it, it'd be hard for the other players to really get a grip of his game. Pair of twos, what do you do in first betting position?
Raise.
You raise. And hope nobody calls. They're not good if somebody calls.
18,000 more.
This
Pass.
is a large
Pass.
raise here, 6 plus 18,000, and that has taken the pot. I don't believe that Andy wanted any action at all.
The trouble with the pair of twos, when you raise and somebody calls you, what cards don't you want to see on the flop? All of them.
Papageorgiou has a surprising amount of chips when considering the fact that he did lose a very large pot to Tom Barkas earlier on. He's really kept himself in this game by his bobbing and weaving.
Pass.
Dave Clayton getting perhaps just a little bit anxious, perhaps a little bit frustrated with not getting any decent cards. He hasn't really, has he?
Quite.
He must be, you know, we look around the table, we're seeing all the cards, but
Pass.
the player only sees what he's given, and Dave Clayton really hasn't had much so
No
far.
raise.
Well, this is interesting. This has been a call on the button from Jens Nauenberg, and he's allowed Papageorgiou to have the free flop with the 9 deuce.
It's just another slow play from Nauenberg.
Well, now that he's missed, you have to imagine he's going to bet.
So often has Nauenberg checked. He probably will bet now,
Check.
will he? Now he's going to bet. He would have checked with an ace. He's going to bet with a king. No, he hasn't.
Check.
Oh, good.
Both check.
Please, I got it wrong. I was starting to read him too well. I don't want to name that well.
Here comes the turn card. Papageorgiou just basically drawing to a deuce at this point. Although the bluff is possible.
Check. Both checked.
Nauenberg wants to check it down and see if his king's good enough. Will he be allowed to? It's worth a speculation, surely.
There's 15,000 in there. How big does the bet have to be to chase Nauenberg?
He's got to put in a size bet
24,000.
that looks like
Pass.
it's wanting to be called, or, well, perhaps not. That's a massive bet.
24,000 into 15,000 pot.
That showed trips, at least. Not too sure what that showed, I don't know. I really don't know enough about that, the psychology of what to put in. He probably could have put less in there, and it still would have been thrown away, obviously. But you then think, well, do you think, well, no, if I put less in I might get called or raised, or I'll put a whacking great beginning and hope for the best.
I think that's exactly what it was. Never send a hammer to do the job when a bulldozer can do the same job, I guess.
Till an army of JCBs comes over the hill. Okay, well, he's had some good hands, hasn't he, Jens Nauenberg? Raise? Yes, the big ones. Oh, this looks big.
Raise.
30. Doesn't want any action.
30,000 total.
That's
Pass.
5 times the big blind.
That is a big raise.
That's saying
Pass.
I do not want anybody to call.
All in.
Oh, and
We
he's
raise
found a
all
hand
in
at
and a
last.
call.
Dave Clayton's found a hand, and it's a bigger one.
Cards, please, gentlemen.
He has gotten called. He's gotten called instantly. And these two are not that far disparate in chips. Nauenberg has a few more. It is Clayton all in, but this one of those situations, Steve, where you wonder if the fact that Nauenberg raised so much before the flop meant that he couldn't get away from it when he got re-raised. And now he's in a desperate position.
Well, no change there, really. A couple of diamonds, but that's not to Nuremberg's favour. As Clayton's got a bigger one, should 2 more diamonds come on the next 2 cards, so he's really needing that queen still.
Yeah, that would be the key card for the German and the death knell for Dave Clayton. Just the river to come now. Anything but a lady. It's a big pot. This has gotten Dave Clayton right back in it. He's just gone from low stack to tournament favorite. Looking at that hand again. Ace King versus Ace Queen. Sucking wind was Nauenberg all the way through. The Queen never came, and by a pip and a prayer, Aces with a King takes down the Aces with the Queen.
That's a better hand, worthy of a raise.
Raise.
There we go, and it will count out. Not big.
10,000 more, 16 total.
Hard
Pass.
look from Nauenberg. He wants to stop Clayton, but doesn't have the bullets
Call.
to do it.
It's 16 total. So you need
Called
to make
with the
up your big
eights,
blind.
hoping.
It's
Did he say
That's
call?
okay.
He did.
Hoping to hit a set of 8s.
Pass.
Genuine reason for doing this is a great chance if he does hit an 8 that it's very disguised his hand and nobody could put him on those. But if an 8 doesn't come out, then you would expect Barkas to be throwing these cards away should he meet any resistance. I think the great line by TJ Cloutier is no set, no bet.
And Clayton
Check.
has hit exactly that, 1 set. And
20,000.
oh, he'd love to see some action here.
Clayton's representing a bluff. Clayton is representing a big bet bluff. If he had a big hand,
Call.
perhaps he would have checked. That's the thinking by Barkas. Barkas has been sucked in. Now, can Clayton reel him in like a big American fish?
Barkas looking for the snowman on the turn.
Oh, blimey, you can't believe it. And he checks,
check.
and now
Both checked.
Fisherman has turned
Wow, and
fish.
Clayton checked as well.
Fisherman has turned fish. What a lineup. What a board, though. The board is so scary. He's got a full house.
50,000.
Can all those clubs mean that Clayton can get away from this?
He has.
Pass.
Well, that's a miracle, isn't it? He was lucky in the end, really, wasn't he?
It was a magnificent check on 4th Street, wasn't it? Clayton, that 8 of clubs, I guess he reckoned that there was really no hand that Barkas could have had that didn't hit. The flush came, the straight came, and Barkas...
What a lucky board for Clayton.
I'll say.
What a lucky board. But unlucky as well, I suppose.
And Nauenberg in a situation where if he lets this go, he's going to have to pay about a quarter of his stack to the big blind, but smart decision
Raise.
because Barkas going
20,000
nowhere with the
total.
ladies.
For the second time, he picks up a pair of queens. And this is when timing is everything, because Papageorgiou has found a big hand in Ace-Jack
Pass.
and a very, very classy laydown. He knows this guy bets when he's got something big. He sussed him out.
Just a part of the beautiful game there, Papageorgiou. A big hand, 4-handed, worthless to the Barkas raised, and he really knew his man. I mean, I guess that's the extra level at tournament poker. Not just knowing your cards, but having a good sense of the other players.
Yes, and obviously, when you meet strangers around the table, and these players will probably never have bumped into each other, may never bump into each other again. You haven't got a clue what the person's like, and somehow you have to get that information as quickly as you can.
I think the winter park again
Pass.
is a good clue.
Raise.
Bundled up.
28,000 total.
And Dave Clayton saying
Pass.
he will play for all of Nauenberg's stack, takes the blinds, and Jens down to nearly chip and chair stage.
Small blind. It means he's got a couple more goes before the blinds get round to him, but he must be starting to think that this money's got to go, the chips have got to go in the next 2-3 hands.
Well, I mean, he's in a situation where if he lets the blinds pass him one more round, he has to double up just to get back where he is now, which I guess may encourage him to take a flyer.
If anybody bets from Papageorgiou and
Pass.
Clayton and he finds any type of
Pass.
hand, he may go all in.
Could have been
All
an
in.
automatic all in,
Call.
but a call from Barkas.
Cost you another
He gets called and you can't
14,000.
wait to see this hand. Oh, you just can't believe it. 3
Thousand
times he's
chips.
had the queens, and Nauenberg's in all sorts of trouble with it. Only 2 jacks to help him out.
Yeah, you have to feel bad for Jens here.
There's the shake hands. Goodbye. But you never know.
He's about 8 to 1 against here.
Which is nice to know, because recently in a tournament I was in a very similar situation and 2 jacks came.
And that's a chance for Nauenberg. 2 jacks in the deck now for him to get out of smoke.
Not so easy for Barkas to improve with a queen, as one of those is already gone.
Here's the turn. Is it a hook? It's not.
Well, a king would be interesting. That would be a split pot. So he's got 6 cards now working for him.
And that, unfortunately, for Jens Nauenberg is a miss. 2 jacks, not good enough. Nauenberg a bit aggrieved to find he's run into 2 ladies. Hope on the flop, but the turn and river were dry. 2 queens beating 2 jacks. This game is 3-way. Barkas did qualify online, so in order to get to this stage, he had to come through some tough fields. And you have to imagine that he's got that extra gear to his game.
Pass.
We'll wait to see it.
Raise.
Certainly Clayton's got it.
It's just got to be done. He's got to do it.
12,000
And they
more,
all know it's up for
18
offer. And unless he's got a big hand, oops, then he's not going to play back. But if he does play back, what's he got?
Call.
Oh.
There's a little bit of slow play. Now he's learned that from Jens next door. Perhaps it's rubbed off.
Well, Barkas has got the ace-king in his mitten. I guess
Perhaps he
if
should have re-raised though, should he? If a jack comes, now where is he? Perhaps he's just going to see what happens and hope for an ace. Well, isn't it amazing? It's as if we knew what cards were coming. Top pair's got a bet, or can't really check, can he?
12,000.
Little tiddly bet. Now, well, he's got 2 overcards. He could be forgiven for raising,
Call.
and he just calls. Oh, he's digging a little hole here. Unless he's trying to present a massive hand.
Barkas needs an ace or king. He hasn't caught it. And is Clayton worried about his kicker?
Oh,
Check.
I think I might have put a £20,000 bet in. Yeah, dollar bet. Well, now Barkas must think he's got a good hand. Was he trapping
Check.
there?
Both check.
Surely Clayton can't throw this jack away. Surely he can't.
Barkas could get out of jail here, but he hasn't. And will Clayton get a payoff now?
16,000.
big decision for
Call.
Barkas, and he had to call, really. He committed himself to calling.
Good hand.
Well, he lost his lunch there. And that is the death that trappers die, isn't it, Steve? Ace-King only good until the flop comes down.
Dave Clayton raised with rubbish. Big blind for the first time.
The next one, yeah.
And Tom Barkas didn't show the strength of the hand he had and has paid the price.
The upshot of this hand as well may be, Steve, that Dave Clayton has finally been found out. He's made lots of moves tonight, but that was the first time he had to turn his hand over.
Yes, but I don't think he's really going to be sussed out by Barkas. So I don't think, but without being too disrespectful, it just doesn't seem to be that Barkas plays the player so much as the cards. That's my overview of the situation. But what Clayton wants, obviously, now is some good cards to raise with. And they're not bad, three-handed. More interestingly, Andy Papageorgiou is the one that's thinking about what's happening. And perhaps he doesn't believe,
Raise 20,000 more,
doesn't believe that
26 total.
Clayton had a good hand.
Well, every
That's
action,
a great move,
yeah.
that is.
Every action has a reaction, and the Jack-3 that Clayton showed means that Papageorgiou says right away, I saw, I don't believe, take this. 7-4 takes the pot, and that's strong again.
Marvellous play. He doesn't know how
That's the last time
close to the edge he was, though, because it was a credible hand, two-handed, three-handed.
And 200,000 is the average chips. Nobody too far ahead or behind here. This is wide open. And with the blinds at 5 and 10,000, it's pretty much going to become a game of blind stealing, I guess.
It certainly is. Now it's worthwhile starting to go through the gears. And I think perhaps the player around the table who has the most respect and has the fear factor is Papageorgiou. Certainly they'll respect his raises. They will respect Tom Barkas' raises, but they'll know roughly what he's got, you would expect. Dave Clayton, well, he's been moving around a bit, so they may not believe Dave Clayton. Let's see how this one unfolds. Papageorgiou with a king-6 in the small blind, worth a raise. A king's a good card with...
That's a pretty big raise there.
Doesn't really want to call. Oops. And can he flat call and slow play? Or what do you do?
I mean, this is the perfect situation.
Exactly.
And Clayton has slow played this. He might catch Papageorgiou out here. And the good news for Papageorgiou is that he's missed completely. Let's see how deep he's willing to go. I think
He's already put the brakes on. Well, he's got to check now, Clayton, really, if he wants to trap him. Oh, I thought he might do. Well, I suppose you've got to be careful. There was the possibility of a straight out there, but there was no possibility of a flush being made. He could have checked. I think perhaps Jans Nauenberg would have. Papageorgiou can't believe this is a bluff and he's in front, can he? Surely not. He's got to throw him away.
No.
that is 30,000, and the way Papageorgiou is fiddling, it's almost as if he's being given the rope to hang himself and is stringing up the noose.
Is he talking himself into the fact that Clayton is bluffing all the time? Is he going to re-raise? Oh, surely not. He's only seen a few cards that Clayton's been on the steal with. You can't always have bad cards.
I tell you, it's amazing how in poker you can just peer over the edge of the precipice and... Oh, the difference between winning and losing is just on a razor-thin leash. Is there any way that Dave Clayton's not going all in here?
Well, it would be a brilliant trap to just call.
All in.
All in.
Oh, now he knows he's beaten.
Papa Giorgio has just fallen face first into the mud here. Do you think the light has dawned here?
I think he may have to have a look to see if these have changed into a pair of jacks from the king 6 he's got. And they obviously haven't.
Poor Andy Papageorgiou has done half his stack in this pot. And you have to respect the play, but so ill-timed.
Well, he saw a couple of hands ago Dave Clayton with that jack 3 on the steal. Then all of a sudden he re-raised when he thought he may have been stealing the next time.
Pass.
And finally gives them up. Damaged but not out. And this man goes from strength to strength.
Yeah, at one point Dave Clayton was low man on the totem pole. Now, 3 players left and 313,000. Very strong.
How quickly this game, you can be doing everything right, and all of a sudden one thing goes wrong and you're just in bits, reeling, trying to regroup, trying to work out where it all went wrong. How can you get back? The air of confidence around the table changes. Everybody looks at you like a weakling from the position of strength you were in. Clayton's hitting the cards now.
He sure is.
Raise.
He's having a fantastic run. More Barkas won't call unless he's got something decent. Oh. He's had the whole range, hasn't he, really?
Yeah, that's what Barkas slow played last time, and he got himself in trouble with the ace-king this time. Let's put the money in now, he says. And will Clayton be willing to?
Well, he's got chips to play about with, but not really that many chips to play about with. Barkas doesn't really want to call.
What's he put that out there?
That's 10, 20, 25.
So 24 and 24 is 50.
Yeah.
There's a 50 there.
Yeah, it's 35, 45. You've got to put out another 5,000 for me.
I do
The
believe
minimum re-raise, which means that really Clayton could well be calling.
Well, he's well priced in here. I mean, if he knew what Barkas had, 2 overcards is actually
Not bad.
No.
But he's got to put the money in on the maths of it dictate. Oh no, he's gone all in. Wow. Oh. Well, it's roughly 50-50, so it's going to end up a 50-50 race. He didn't have to go all in. He could have probably called and see what the flop brought down. But now he's put Barkas to a massive test. The jacks, you can get away from jacks quite easily. Don't be fooled into thinking you can't, and Barkas could very well throw them away. But how, can he afford to?
That's what he's trying to figure out now. He's left himself with over 100,000 if he does decide to fold. And it's a pretty itchy decision.
Well, if he knew what Clayton had, I think he probably might well go for it. Do you think? I
would say
think
it's
you'd
a
have to,
certainty,
yeah. But I mean, what's he up? He worried about a pair of queens, pair of kings, pair of aces, which makes him severely the underdog.
I mean, he might be thinking the best I am is 50-50, and more likely 4-1 underdog. Clayton.
Can he live to fight another day? He's getting prepared to throw these out. He's just.
He has folded. No limit hold'em players. I hate going bust with jacks. Dave Clayton has pulled out ahead. He plays often, and he's showing his superiority. 383,000, and Barkas and Papageorgiou. Are they playing to take him on? This tournament poker game, which is the new rage, is really for the new breed.
Yes, and one of the biggest reasons about the fact you can wait forever in a cash game is the blinds don't go up. The blinds don't increase. Clayton getting busy with an ace, 7.
Although that said,
Raise 13
Doyle
more, 40
Brunson,
in
who's
total.
well over the age of 70, seems to still be doing it day in and day out against the young guys, doesn't he? And the raise has come from the button, and
All in.
He's had everything now. He's had the whole set.
Pass.
He's had every one of them. And this is how he's going to make money, by getting big cards. But you don't every day of your life get the hands that Barkas has had tonight.
40,000.
He's had a miracle set of hands during this 57. We've only had 57 hands of cards. He's had aces,
54
kings,
left.
queens, jacks.
Clayton feels like he may be priced in, and Barkas is playing. He's playing the strategy that got him to this point, and if he wins this pot, he will be either the chip leader or very close to it. There's 218,000 in here, and the king's in control.
Well, as long as an ace doesn't come up, what timing for Barkas to hit another big hand. And the 7 comes up.
Barkas needs to avoid the 7 or the ace. It would be actually
2 clubs would also help Clayton, but that's a long shot.
be a desperate beat for Barkas if he doesn't get this through. It looks good now. No bullet, no 7. Double through. And sometimes in poker, the most unlikely things can happen. And although you say Barkas is very tight, he's given himself an opportunity that several other players in this heat didn't give themselves because they were so fast.
Yes, obviously, Clayton didn't have to call. Nobody made him put his chips in after the all-in from Barkas. Although he would have thought that he would have been getting the correct pot odds to have to put the money in. So Barkas is up to 218,000 for Giorgio. Chip trailer. Clayton somewhat slaughtered, but still in a healthy position.
It's far from over yet.
They should be aces, I think. No,
Pass.
they're not. As a surprise. And there's
All
another
in.
all-in manoeuvre.
Call.
Giorgio, he's been called. Oh, there's going to be trouble.
The quick call and the big bet would signal that ace-8 is beaten, is it?
He's obviously right.
It is, and badly. Clayton dominating with the ace-9, and this could be the end of the road for the Midlands player.
Well, Papageorgiou hasn't really done anything wrong there, putting it all in with an ace. He can find himself unlucky to find another ace. 2 hearts. 2 more hearts would be helpful.
Yeah, the problem is those low cards reduce the chance of a split pot. And Papageorgiou will really need to hit that 8 now. Actually, a deuce or 3 now will get him out of it. That'll be a splitter. Any deuce, any 3 for the split, any 8 for the win. And the 9 plays.
Hold on. Hold on.
Papageorgiou is out. Well, inches only count in horseshoes and battle axes. And the ace-9 just above the ace-8 in the end. Goes down 3 cards, but ace-king, jack-9 beats ace-king, jack-8 in this. Well, it all comes down to one-on-one. On one side, Mount Rushmore. And he has just run into a freight train to Paddington Station. Who will come out on top? Boulders will be strewn all over. Tom Barkas finds himself in a position where this Pennsylvania miner has been sitting there like a lump of coal all day, but 2 hands, and it'll be all over. All he has to do is beat the feisty young jackhammer from the east side of London, Dave Clayton, who has been moving and grooving with or without hands. And Steve Davis, how do you handicap it?
Well, obviously, Dave Clayton has a 2-to-1 chip advantage. That gives him some room for manoeuvre and the possibility to take a pot shot should the older gentleman go all in, but he hasn't been showing too many signs of that, or too much sign of aggression. It's going to be interesting to see if Dave Clayton carries on stealing the blinds. Stealing, waiting to see when he gets resistance.
The head-up game, very different from 5, 4, 3, or 6-handed. And looking at these graphics, big differences in these statistics.
Yes, they tell their own story, don't they? Tom Barkas has got there, that's by having some very big hands and winning very occasionally. Dave Clayton's been doing a bit more manoeuvring, much bigger bet frequency. He's got the reward, he's got the advantage, but that's all it is. It's just an advantage.
Yeah, Barkas probably had to be head up on the internet and win just to get here, so. Gonna be first to speak on the button.
Call.
Call.
He calls.
No raise?
No worries.
And if a jack comes,
Action. But if a 5 comes, he should have raised.
oh no.
Oh, goodbye. Tom
Check.
Barkas has had a charmed existence so far.
Check, both check.
This can only end up in one direction, with Tom Barkas becoming chip leader.
They are both slow playing. Right now the queen plays, and Clayton is going to stick a little bet in, and
20,000.
It's all going to go on, it's just how. We might as well see a few Oscar-winning performances before all these chips go in the middle. And there's a little performance.
you wonder if there's any way that all these chips don't go in.
Call.
Slow playing. The tricks.
Barkas is almost over slow playing it here.
Would a 5 come on the end?
A king or 4 is a split. Here's the river. And, Barkas may bet big here. Well, he has to think that Barkas. Clayton must think that Barkas caught the king on the turn.
50,000.
There's no getting away from this, is there?
All in.
There was a possibility, even if an ace came on the river, that it was a split pot as well. So
Call.
Call. All in and a call.
this is unlucky for Clayton.
Oh man. And this is a fairy tale story in the making. Tom Barkas has just taken
How much is it?
the chip
Okay.
lead. Taking Clayton to lunch. Looking at that hand again, both with 3 jacks on the flop. 5 cards play. And after all 7 came out, it was 3 jacks, king, queen. Now really beating 3 jacks, king, 5, but enough for the big money. Can he make the move with nothing?
15 total.
Sorry.
He's relentless.
It's the right thing to do.
Raised 50 in total.
Looks like you may have.
30,000 to you.
Well, that is a line
the hand.
drawn in the sand, isn't it?
But it's what happens after the flop that now becomes important, because he can be put off the hand as well.
Right you are.
And he may well be put off the hand if, and it's a big if, Clayton can make a bet. Barkas
Check.
checks, that was certain.
Check.
Oh,
Clayton
Clayton's
can't bet.
scared of the ace.
Can't bet. Oh, if he'd have only known.
Tom.
He's going to
Barkas,
check. He
yeah.
must check.
He's got the nut, no pair.
He's having a look. Is he going to bluff? No, don't ruin it.
You know, there's 100,000 in this pot.
He can't bet.
Check.
Can he bet? Can Clayton manage? Can he drag it up from? Yes, he can.
He has to, doesn't he?
75,000.
Oh, that's a big bet.
Pass.
End of story, as far as I'm concerned.
And that little hand was one of the most crucial in the tournament. I mean, Barkas is under 150 now, so it's almost like Clayton could go all in every hand here. I wonder. Oh.
Well, at last, Tom Barkas has found a hand, and he
Raise.
raises. Clayton throws him away. No damage done.
We just give that back, otherwise.
Well, if Clayton calls here, he's mad as a March
35,000.
hare.
You're gonna have to put that one in for me to make at least 40. Yeah. Thank you. Cool.
It was a small raise, I assume.
He has nothing to win and everything to lose. What if they both flop a pair?
I think he's only going to call unless he hits a big hand. Oh, he's hit a drawing hand. But we know for sure that Tom Barkas is not necessarily the most aggressive player from this situation. But Clayton doesn't have to get
All
involved.
in.
No. All in. Well, it might work.
You must have a pair, says Tom Barkas.
Is that what he said?
But there's 80,000 in there right now.
Yeah, go ahead.
He's calling!
Call.
And this is actually the best spot that Barkas has been in.
Yeah.
All he has to do is hold him. He's a favorite here. Not a big one, but he's a favorite.
Better shot I did. I got 100 bucks.
Why did Clayton get involved?
Whatever.
Okay, he gets a free shot at him, but it was all one-way
No
traffic.
jack, please. Aces are good.
No jack, says Tom Barkas. A 6, a 7, an 8, or a jack are Dave Clayton's cards at this stage. 10, no help.
What's that, 10?
Now he's gone big favorite.
Deuce. Deuce, deuce, deuce. Please, 3 would be all right. I mean, I don't give a 2.
Oh, no, it's over. It's over. The 8 came. He can't believe it.
Unlucky, well played.
That's a shame. You did not do no good.
2 pair on the river, and Clayton is our winner here, Steve.
Let's say that, yeah.
Barkas made a nice call on the flop. He was ahead with the no pair, but the 8 on the river. 2 pairs, 10s and 8s have ended this one in a bountiful fashion. Dave, fantastic result. Well done. You seem to have a different strategy for every player.
Yeah, the guy that was heads up seemed to be very tight, and he seemed to be giving me, plenty of leeway just to make moves on him. Earlier on, I think we were just playing the cards, really early on. Tried to slow play queens, early on, and ace came on the flop and I chucked it away. And then the big hand, was the kings that I've slow played against, and it's come like a jack high flop.
Against
and
Andy,
yeah,
right?
and I bet very weak, and he's come over the top, and then he's chucked it away. So I tried all different things to try and get it. To try and get the chips off him today.
Well, we'll be seeing Dave Clayton again in the semifinals, a man who seems to have been born with his hand in the cookie jar. Join us next time on the partypoker.net European Open when Roy the Boy brings his toys to the table.